Get that paper, told that Glock, that's how we live. Yeah, my life's a game, I pray I don't get killed. They can't believe I got to go out this shit for real. Can't accept the fact my brother gone, I wanna kill. Yeah, I can't go for that shit don't sit right. Instead of cabin to the old nigga, I know what you live like. Ain't worried about all just fuck these hoes and live life. I grown the drill, I'm smart enough, you gotta know how to kill.
Isagi looks up, dodging every defender that was around him, and then smashing the ball right into the net. Chris Prince tells him well done, and his training continued. We'd see the weight slamming onto the ground as Isagi racked the barbell without ceremony. His breathing was controlled, almost too controlled, for someone who had just pushed his body to its very limits. Sweat slid down his neck and his eyes, but he was still focused, fixed on something that only he could see. Chris Prince had watched him in silence, wondering what was in his thoughts. "You're not done evolving," he finally said, "but you're ready to test what you've currently built." The announcement came a couple hours later, as the next match was Manshine City versus PXG. Before the kickoff, Nagi found himself near the tunnel. Isagi then turned to him, hearing his name. "I'm sorry," he said quietly, "about the things that happened back then. In the second selection, I should have—" "Piss off." The words hit harder than any resolve. "What?" "I wasn't chosen because I was weak," he said flatly, turning just enough for Nagi to see his eyes. There was no anger, just judgment. "That was my limit at the time. It's no one else's fault but my own. I don't need your pity," Isagi interrupted for one last time. "Or your closure." Nagi then clenched his fist. "You've changed. A lot." Isagi then looked at him and to everyone else here. "I don't know why any of you act like you know me at all. Never again will I be looked at as that weak," he said quietly. "My future is mine to control." He walked forward, and Nagi stood there, his chest tight, wondering if he could keep up. Across from them stood PXG and their team. The whistle blew, and they moved instantly, like a machine already in motion. Tokimitsu rolled the ball up with force. Nanase collected it in stride and surged forward, his footwork tight and aggressive. A double step over into a body feint blew past Chiguru, forcing him to turn into a sprint desperately. "Damn," he would say, but he barely recovered. Nanase then cut inside and snapped the ball forward. "Charles." The prodigy moved and received it cleanly, already smiling. On the sideline, Julian Loki nodded. "Good. Control the tempo." Chris Prince chuckled under his breath. "Careful." He's watching. Charles then pivoted, but thump. Rail exploded forward. A perfectly timed defensive header. Perfect copy from Oliver Aiku, snapping his neck and redirecting the ball. "Nagi." He then dropped it cleanly. Nagi trapped it effortlessly, cushioning the ball with instinctive precision. "Thanks, Rail. I'll take it from here." He went forward, an inside cut into a drag back, into an elastic flick. His movement smooth, almost lazy. Space opened up in front of him, like the field itself was cooperating. Then, as he went to shoot, Tokimitsu slammed into him. I can't lose." He roared, the fear, the desperation, twisting on his facial expression. His body surged with raw strength, and Nagi staggered. Tokimitsu swung his leg to clear the ball, but Agi stepped in, calm and calculated. "I figured this would happen," Seishiro Nagi. He deflected the ball midair, and as it fell, everyone watched it, no one moving. But then Isagi moved in his place, as it fell right to his feet. Nanase was on his right, Choppa directly in front of him. They each exchanged a look, as Choppa muttered together as they rushed in. On the sideline, Chris leaned toward Loki. "Brace yourself," he said calmly. "He's pretty unpredictable." Isagi moved. A quick scissor slipped him past Nanase. Choppa then lunged, and using Nanase's body as cover, Isagi flicked the ball upward. A rainbow flick. Nanase and Choppa completely froze mid-step. "He's insane," Nanase would say. Before the ball could even stop or drop back down to the ground, Isagi remembered Kaiser's raw power, Noah's mechanics, Chris Prince's relentless core rotation drills. He then twisted his hips and struck the ball. Direct overdrive cannon, an involved direct shot, compressed torso rotation, explosive instep transfer, zero wasted motion. The ball screamed and ripped into the net violently. A goal. Everyone on the field began reacting. Chigiri's eyes widened, knowing that wasn't normal. Nagi's chest had tightened, knowing that he couldn't do that. Nanase clenched his fist. How did he? Charles laughed uneasily. "He's a monster." And Ren stared from the midfield. "That lukewarm runt?" he muttered. "How the hell did you turn into?" Rayo then felt a chill down his spine, knowing that Nagi might not be able to keep up with Isagi's current evolution, and wondering if he was holding himself back by supporting Nagi. PXG responds immediately. Nanase burst down the wing, chaining stepovers into a heel chop, forcing Agi wide. He then carved it just out of space, slipping the ball inward. Charles receives it, dancing around, a roulette into a fake shot, and then a toe poke. Rayo bit hard, getting around him. "Too slow," Charles laughed. The pass then split the defense. Ren didn't trap it. The rotation of the ball was set at an angle perfectly. A trivela into a goal. "I don't care how much you evolve," he said coldly as he turned away. "You're still lukewarm to me." Chris exhaled slowly. "Seems we've crossed the point of no return." Loki smirked as well. "Talent versus effort. My players were already born ahead, and I've made sure to harbor that genius." Chris then smiled faintly. "And yet, he'll be the one to surpass all geniuses." England then pushed forward with urgency. Chigiri exploded down the flank, hitting top speeds in seconds. He then cut inside and laid the ball off. Rayo received it, scanning already. Charles was on him. Nagi drifted to the right, but Isagi hovered central. Who should he choose, he thought. Hesitation. PXG deflected the pass, but Agi leapt into the air. A mid-air volleyed pass, redirecting the loose ball forward. Isagi would receive it. Tokimitsu slid in the way with everything that he had. Isagi then slowed down, entering flow. The field sharpened. Lines became paths. Players became variables. Then, instantly, he struck the ball with a shot that would shock everyone. A Prince Breaker knuckle. A knuckle shot taught to him by Chris Prince. Dead spin instability, even in open play. The ball would dip violently before spinning to the left and swerving into the goal. Everyone seeing this had a different reaction, but Chris Prince was the main one who had stood up, clapping for Isagi, believing that shot would be his key to victory. Still flashing back to the memories of him teaching it to Isagi, he was surprised that he grasped it so easily, but maybe it was due to all the training that they had done. The final phase would soon begin. PXG attacked. Ren received the ball near the central circle. Isagi stepped up. "Been a while, Ren. Move out of the way." Both of them seemed to enter a flow. Ren's destructive state and Isagi's wildcard rage. Every feint that Ren threw out was mirrored. Every drop pass was met with anticipation. Ren tried to bait contact, but Isagi cut the angle. They then clashed at full speed. Ren chopped behind his foot, spinning, then a shot, but it's stolen. Isagi took it. His rage compressed. No chaos, no wasted movement. A calm storm. He sprinted forward with someone chasing after him, but then he drops off the pass to Rayo and keeps running ahead. Rayo would hesitate in a moment, still in his brain, thinking, Isagi or Nagi? Instantly in this moment, he chose Nagi. The ball floated forward in that way. Seeing as he had saw Nagi on that side, he was prepared for a super goal in this moment. But the silhouette, it shifted mid-run as they watched a person trap it. It was Isagi, lifting the ball in a Nagi-style trap, perfectly replicated. He spun midair. Is this what the world was waiting on? Rin, who was chasing after, still crashed into him. The whistle blew, which would be a yellow card, but the shot flew in anyway. A goal. Silence overtook everyone. A hat trick. Every player on the field had felt it. Paris had been conquered. The wall had fallen. And Yoichi Isagi stood at the center of it, not chasing a future anymore. He was forcing it to bend around him. Soon, after everything was over with the match, we'd see a room that was cold. White lights hummed overhead as Yoichi Isagi stood there, motionless in the center. Shirtless, cables and sensors attached to his body. His chest rose, and then fell so evenly as he breathed. No sign of fatigue, no sign of strain. His eyes were focused forward, unflickering. Henri adjusted her tablet, scrolling through lines of data and looking at them. None of it made sense. This can't be right, she murmured. Ego sat behind her, legs crossed, chin resting on his hands, eyes half-lidded as he looked up at Isagi, studying him in that moment. Muscle density has increased again, she continued. Sprint endurance hasn't dropped after the match. Reaction time still improving. Vision, shooting, and even mental load. Tolerance. All of it. She stopped. Then showed him. Every category was highlighted. S rank. Dribbling, passing, vision, shooting, strength, ego. Henri swallowed. What were you thinking? Ego didn't answer back immediately. He leaned on the chair, with it creaking softly, and then stretched. I was thinking that geniuses are a lie. Ego, she responded. He then continued. Talent is a convenient excuse. He then looked towards Isagi. A narrative the world clings to because it absolves them of failure. He was born special. I never had a chance. His gestures lazily towards the screen. But Yoichi Isagi was truly nothing. She turns to both of them, looking at them. He had no overwhelming physique, no prodigy-level technique, no pro training since a young age, no true will to fight and survive on the streets, no inherited brilliance. He went on and on, cutting her off. But what he did have was hunger, and above all else, the willingness to fail. Ego now sat up forward. The WILDCARD project wasn't about creating a monster. It was about finding someone who could survive this new age of football and become number one above all the other odds. Because of course this world will continue to produce geniuses. But this WILDCARD project will be the end-all be-all of those geniuses. You could say, a genius killer. The screens then shifted. Clips from the Neo-Egoist League flash. Isagi breaking defenders down, slipping through impossible tight spaces, striking with ruthless efficiency. Any other striker would have shattered by now. Isolation, failure, repeated ego death. But Yoichi Isagi adapted every single time. Henri's voice was so quiet in this moment. So, it was destiny? Ego smiled. Luck, destiny, timing. Words people use when they don't want to admit the truth. He stood up. Yoichi Isagi was the perfect person to fall into the WILDCARD. Whether it be by fate or coincidence, it doesn't even matter. Japan's number one? No, the world's number one is developing right in front of us. The screens changed again. A side-by-side comparison appeared. Yoichi Isagi versus Itoshi Rin. Their movements overlapped in ghost layers, pressing angles, body positioning, spatial control. Isagi's lines held, Rin's fractured. Ego nodded slowly. Coming out on top of this exchange was impressive, especially since he tasted defeat by this player before. Another screen then appeared. Itoshi Ren versus Itoshi Sai in the U20 match. Ego then overlaid it. Sai and Isagi. The similarity was unmistakable. Henri caught her breath. He's already in that realm? Yes, Ego answered. And that's the problem. He then got serious. To win the World Cup, Ego said, Japan doesn't need a star. It needs a singularity. Someone who can bend the game around themselves. He glanced at Isagi as the two made eye contact. And this still isn't enough. World class isn't your ceiling. It's the entry point. He stepped closer to the screen, eyes gleaming. If Isagi stops climbing now, he'll be crushed by Europe, by South America, by monsters who lived at this level their entire lives. The room then felt smaller. So you must go higher, Isagi. Higher than logic, higher than sanity. Yoichi Isagi, do not disappoint me. Isagi didn't respond. He only looked at the screens, then back to Ego. The WILDCARD project had truly succeeded, and the world was about to find out for themselves.